All right, cool. We are live. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Coming at you guys with another video today. Actually, I'm going to really roll into this topic really quickly today, but just a reminder that I still do have something very special planned for all of you guys. Hopefully being launched by next week. I'll be able to get all the details sent out to everybody who's interested, who wants to join. Just really trying to put the finishing touches to it. I do have kind of this issue of, I don't know if I would call myself a perfectionist, but wanting things to be like really, I don't know, really all put together before putting the details out. So trying to get everything good to go for you guys while also getting it to you guys as soon as possible so you guys can take advantage of it. But this will be a really awesome opportunity for everyone who might not be ready for one-on-one coaching, but they still want to make progress. They still want a community that's going to be motivating. They still want to potentially win cash prizes. They still want workouts handed to them to complete, workouts that are effective and not just random put together workouts that don't really make any sense. And also for people who want guidance with their journeys, especially if they want to try to go through these phases that I take all of my one-on-one VIP clients through. If you want to try to implement this stuff on your own, you're going to want to get in on this, especially because I am making the founder's price super low to join this opportunity. It will be less than $1 a day in the beginning. So you'll definitely want to jump in on this. So just a reminder on that, though, that is coming very, very soon, which I'm so excited about. I think it's going to be perfect for so many of you. But wanted to jump on this topic today, or dive into this topic, which is how many workouts a week should I be doing for fat loss? And if you see me look down on my phone, I am just looking at my notes. I'm not texting anybody, but this is just an easy way for me to jot down some notes that I want to cover in this. So this is a question I get all the time. And actually, I literally just got this question kind of from a client today. So I always like to take questions that clients give me and make these videos or these podcasts or whatever on those topics, since I know, if my clients are asking these questions, people who are not my clients, who are in the group, who are on similar journeys would probably benefit from these answers too. So great question as far as how many days a week you should be working out for optimal fat loss. And there's a lot of nuance to this question. There's a lot of it depends. So I'm going to go through all the things that you should be considering when you're trying to decide how many days a week you're going to work out for optimal fat loss. So number one is we want to make sure, first and foremost, that the type of workouts we are prioritizing. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't have any other types of workouts than what I'm going to say. It just means the ones we should really prioritize are lifting or resistance training. Because if you've listened to any of my other videos, go listen to previous podcasts. I go over the ton of benefits when it comes to lifting for not only overall health, but also for optimal fat loss. But the biggest thing is that you not only burn calories through fat loss, but you also preserve muscle mass, which is so important when it comes to fat loss. In maintaining fat loss long-term is keeping your muscle mass around. Like, there's research pointing towards some of the drivers hunger-wise that cause us to overeat after we lose weight and gain all the weight back have to do with the amount of muscle mass that we lose through the process too. So if we can keep muscle mass, we're going to be less likely to gain that body fat back. So we want to really prioritize lifting or resistance training for our workouts. So that's number one. So how many lifting days should you include in your workout plan? So here are the things we want to consider with this. Number one is we want to plan out to hit each main muscle group twice per week. That's kind of the rough average benchmark to making the most amount of progress or getting the most bang for your buck when it comes to lifting weights or resistance training. Sometimes you can work a muscle group just once per week and see good progress, right? You're not going to see zero progress from that probably. And also sometimes you can work a muscle group maybe even 3 times a week. But the sweet spot that most people can recover from and where you're really getting the most out of the lifting and hitting the muscle again when it is recovered enough to hit again is usually twice per week, which means we're going to be hitting each muscle group around every 72 hours ish. Some days it's going to be every 3 days. We have a workout when we hit that same muscle group again. Some days or some weeks it might be every 4 days if you hit that muscle group again. But roughly on average, every 72 hours, we probably want to be hitting that muscle group again. So that's number one. And this is how I think in program for all of my clients is I think, okay, baseline, we're going to hit each muscle group twice per week. Now, how many days are we going to split that up with? And also too, this is each main muscle group. So the main muscle groups are like the big muscles of your body. And those are going to be the muscles that are worked mostly in like compound movements or movements that move basically multiple joints at a time or movements that work multiple muscle groups at a time. So for example, like your chest would be a main muscle group on your body, your shoulders, your back, your quads, your glutes, and even your hamstrings. Those are kind of the main ones. Even abs kind of get lumped into there. Those would be the exercises that you can only do, or if you were to only do like compound squats, deadlifts, you were to do like some kind of pull-up variation or lat pull-down, or you were to do some kind of row or bench press or shoulder press, you were going to work all those muscle groups just from those basic exercises. Now, there are smaller muscle groups on your body, like your biceps, your triceps, your calves, even like your rear delts, even your, I think I said calves already, potentially. I think I did. Those are smaller muscle groups where you do more like isolation exercises to work those. So you would do like calf raises that are literally only working your calves, or you would do bicep curls that would only work your biceps. So just so you kind of have the distinguished difference between, okay, what a main muscle group is that's involved more in compound exercises versus isolation muscle groups. But you want to hit at least those main muscle groups, your chest, back, quads, glutes, hamstrings, and core. You want to hit those twice per week, and bonus points if you can also program your workouts to where you're hitting those smaller muscle groups twice per week too, like your biceps, triceps, rear delts, calves, those smaller muscle groups. If you want to like really continue to like shape your body to kind of the next level, I guess, versus just generally having a good amount of healthy muscle mass on your frame, hitting those smaller muscle groups twice per week is also a good idea. So in general, hitting the main muscle groups twice per week, bonus if you hit those smaller muscle groups twice per week too. That's kind of the benchmark. So if we know we want to hit each muscle group twice per week, and we know we want to space those workouts out roughly between like 72 hours ish, so every 3 to 4 days roughly we want to hit the same muscle group again, how many sets per muscle group should we be aiming for? So with the sets per muscle group, usually anywhere from 10 to 16 sets per muscle group is a good benchmark for most people per week. So if we are going to hit our quads, for example, we would want to be hitting our quads for about, let's say, let's go kind of on average, let's say 12 sets in a week of hitting our quads. Now, like I said, we want to hit our quads twice per week. So that would be about 6 sets of quads per each of those days that we are hitting our quads. So like let's say we hit our quads on Monday and Thursday, we would do 6 sets of quads on Monday, 6 sets of quads on Thursday. And you can have that by just doing one quad exercise on Monday. Like you could do leg press for all 6 sets and do leg extension for all 6 sets on Thursday. Or you could maybe do 3 sets of leg press, 3 sets of leg extension on Monday. And then on Thursday, maybe you do 3 sets of squats and 3 sets of lunges or something. So both of those scenarios, you're hitting 6 sets of quads twice per week. So a total of 12 sets total in that week. But the one scenario, you're doing a little bit less exercise variation, and the other example, you're doing a little bit more exercise variation. But that's one way you could set up. And you would basically do that for all of the muscle groups, the main muscle groups, and then sprinkle in those isolation exercises if you have time and energy to fit those in. But when it comes to choosing how many days you want to work out, you want to consider what you can actually stick to. That's the number one thing. How many days of the week are you able to consistently show up to the gym or your home gym, wherever you're working out, and do these scheduled workouts? Because if you're going to program in the way I just described, where, okay, we're hitting each muscle group twice per week, we're spacing it out by roughly 3 to 4 days each per muscle group, not necessarily each workout being spaced out by 3 to 4 days, but each muscle group hitting it again spaced out by 3 to 4 days. If you're programming it that way, and then you're programming, okay, I'm hitting my quads for 12 sets each week, I'm doing 6 sets each of those days because I know that's optimal. If you decide, okay, I'm going to aim for 4 days a week of workouts, lifting workouts, you might program a lower body day on Monday, an upper body day on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, you might program a lower body day, and then on Friday, an upper body day, which is perfectly fine. Like, that's a great way to program. But let's say if you decide you want to do 4, but because of your schedule, what's realistic for you actually is just 3 days. So you're setting yourself up with these high expectations of hitting my workouts 4 days, but you're probably half the time only going to get to the gym 3 days. Well, if that happens, unless you kind of have this other strategy of knowing how to combine workouts if you have to, if that happens and you end up just skipping a workout each week, some of those muscle groups are only going to be worked once per week then. Like, let's say if you hit your lower body on Monday and you hit your upper body on Tuesday, and then you were supposed to hit lower body again on Thursday, but something came up or you slept in or whatever happened, and you ended up skipping that workout Thursday entirely, and then Friday you did your upper body day. There, in that scenario, you're only hitting your lower body once in that given week. And you're missing out on so much more progress you could be making when it comes to building that lower body strength, building that lower body musculature by skipping that day entirely and only getting in, half of the quote unquote volume, which kind of means the number of sets that you normally would do for your quads, for example. You're only doing half of that in that week. So you're really missing out on some progress you could be making. Now, if we were to take a more realistic approach for ourselves, and instead of trying to be overly confident of how often we can make to the gym, and instead of shooting for 4 days, we're going to say, okay, I'm going to go for 3 days. Then you can program accordingly. And instead of having a lower body day on Monday, Tuesday upper, and Thursday lower, and Friday upper, what you could do is you could do lower body on Monday, Tuesday upper body, and then Friday could be a full body day where you hit all of those main muscle groups I mentioned, the chest, the shoulders, back, glutes, hamstring, quads. You hit all those main muscle groups, and those are programmed. And now in that scenario, you're only going to the gym 3 days a week, and you're committing to 3, and you're still able to hit each muscle group twice. And you can even dial this back another day too. Like, let's say if you decide you want to commit to 3 days, but you're really only sticking to 2, and you're missing out on one of those upper body days or one of those lower body days or even the full body day. In that scenario, if you're only making it to the gym twice a day or twice a week, you're only hitting each muscle group once. Or some of those muscle groups are only going to be worked once in that week, which is kind of missing out on a lot of progress you could be making. So in that scenario, if you're going to commit to 2 days, or if you're only going to be able to go to 2 days, I would say just actually commit to 2 days. And don't try to set that higher expectation of doing 3 days a week. Make that commitment of just 2 days. That way you can program 2 full body days in your routine, hit each of those main muscle groups in each of those full body days, and now you're still hitting each muscle group, each main muscle group at least twice per week, and not missing out on some of that volume that you could be hitting for your glutes, your hamstrings, your back, chest, whatever muscle group you want to name. And if you do have a third day where you're like, hey, but like some days or some weeks, I do have the time to get in a third workout, and you want to take advantage of that, just have that third workout not be a lifting or resistance training focused workout. Have that third optional workout. Maybe be some kind of cardio that you find fun, whether it be going for a jog or playing pickleball or whatever, maybe going hiking or going swimming or whatever. Have that third day, or maybe it's those like I forget what it's called, dance cardio routine workout videos that you like to watch and complete, and that's fun for you. Maybe you have a Peloton and you want to do some of those boot camp, more like cardio circuit style biking, workouts on that day. Have that third day be like an optional cardio activity day, but don't plan and program 3 lifting days in a week when you can only really consistently stick to 2. I'd much rather have you do 2 and have that third day be an optional cardio day for fun, versus programming 3 lifting days and constantly only really getting 2 in. Same thing goes for trying to shoot for 4, but only being able to hit 3, or trying to shoot for 5, like programming 5 workouts in a week, but only going 4 and then missing out on that. The only time I would say it is okay to program more days, like more often, so program 4, even if some weeks you can only get 3, is if you know for sure that, hey, I'm only going to be able to get 3 in this week, so I'm going to be proactive and actually combine my upper and lower at the end of the week into one full body day. So for example, let's say you're programming 4 days a week, you're programming a lower on Monday, an upper on Tuesday, and then you're programming a lower on Thursday and an upper on Friday. And let's say every week, once you get to about Wednesday or even Thursday, okay, work is really crammed with a lot of stuff to do on Friday this week. I'm not going to be able to get my Friday workout in. So instead of skipping that Friday workout completely, what you do is you take those first 4 exercises that are programmed on your lower body day on Thursday, and you take those first 4 exercises that you have programmed for your upper body on Friday, and you combine those first 4 exercises. And that way you can basically turn that lower and that upper at the end of the week that you have programmed into one full body day. And then if you do that, you're still hitting each muscle group twice per week, and you're just having that flexibility of kind of adjusting the second half of your week based off of your work schedule or whatever you have going on to still hit each muscle group twice per week. Now, you just have to know how to do this. Like I said, you want to take roughly, if you have your workouts programmed the right way, like I do with my clients, you want to take the first 3 or 4 exercises from each of those workouts and combine them. You don't want to take the full workout from each of those and combine them, because that is going to be one long workout. You're going to be doing a ton of sets of a ton of like more isolation exercises, which in that case, like if you're doing bicep curls and it's like your 12th exercise and you've already done a lot of back exercises, so like lat pull downs or rows that already work your biceps a little bit already, you're really not getting much out of those bicep curls at the end. Anything more than 8 exercises in a workout, like you really have to have some justification as to far as like why you have those in there. Anything more than 8 exercises, assuming you're doing a few sets each for your other 8 exercises and you're pushing yourself close to failure, anything more than that is probably junk volume, and you're really not getting much out of it because you're so exhausted by the time you get there. So what I recommend to clients, if I do program 4 days a week, but I do have a week where a client like can't hit all 4 workouts and they have to stick with 3, as long as we can kind of like foresee that coming in advance, at least by a day or 2, I can tell them to combine, the lower and upper at the end of their week into one full body day. Cut out the kind of fluff exercises like the bicep curls, the tricep pushdowns that work your smaller muscle groups, so they can still hit the main muscle groups at least twice per week. I actually have a client right now who she has 3 workouts programmed for her, 3 lifting days, but we were in communication because of stuff going on the past few weeks that most of the weeks she's probably going to combine the lower and upper into an extra full body day. So instead of doing lower, upper, and a full, she's doing 2 full body days in a week, but just kind of cutting out some of that extra fluff. And that works really well if you have a coach to kind of guide you through it, and also if your program is set up the right way. Like if you're doing a lot of like bicep curls, tricep pushdowns in the beginning of your workouts and doing like the main muscle groups at the end, like your chest, shoulders, and those bigger muscle groups, then doing the first 3 or 4 exercises of that workout and cutting out the rest isn't the best idea to go. So your program has to be set up the right way for that to work. But that's a way to be a little bit more flexible. But I recommend, especially if you're doing this on your own, and you're trying to program for yourself, pick however many days you can absolutely stick to, or you're going to make it non-negotiable. So no matter what, I'm going to make it to the gym these days, or I'm going to do these lifting workouts these days. Now, obviously, sometimes shit happens and it doesn't get done, but like, it shouldn't be every other week where we're missing a workout. If that's the case, then we probably need to bring down our commitment a little bit more. But pick however many days you're going to be able to stick to, and then set yourself up with some kind of workout split or structure that allows you to hit each muscle group twice per week. Really easy way to go about it. And I kind of already gave examples of this, but if you're doing 2 days a week, do 2 full body days. If you're doing 3 days a week, do a lower body day, an upper body day, and then a full body day. If you're doing 4 days a week, you want to do 2 lower body days in the week and 2 upper body days in the week. And then if you're doing 5 days, you could do a lower, an upper, and then a lower, and then a push upper. So you're basically working your push muscle groups in your upper body, so your chest, shoulders, and triceps. And then you're doing a pull day for your upper body, which is working your pull muscles, your back, biceps, or rear delts for your upper body. And that would be your 5th day. So you're kind of taking that 4th day that would be a typical upper body day if you're just doing 4 days a week and splitting it up into 2, basically. And then if you're doing 6 days a week, which I really don't recommend for really anybody at this point anymore. I used to do 6 days myself back in the day, but I found it's just a lot to recover from, and most people can't recover that well. And also a lot of people can't make it to the gym 6 days a week either. But if you really want to do 6 days of lifting, you would basically take both of those upper body days and split it into like a push day, like I mentioned, and then a pull day for both of those upper. So you would do lower body, push, pull, lower body, push, pull, and then obviously rest on the 7th day. In those other examples, there's rest days interspersed in there. You're not doing all those like 3 or 4 workouts 3 or 4 days in a row. But you could potentially, with 6 days, potentially do 3 lower body days. But I wouldn't really recommend doing that on your own, because it just takes a lot of tinkering with making sure you're not doing too much so you can recover properly. So I would, if you're going to go 6 days, which like I said, I don't really recommend really for anybody at this point. But if you were going to do 6 days, I would do it kind of how I mentioned there. And, also too, just kind of brought up this thought. If you are thinking about doing like a day strictly devoted to abs or core, don't do that. A lot of people want to have like an ab day in there, but your abs should be treated like every single other muscle group. Like, you should be doing them for roughly, like I said, 10 to 16 sets in a week, doing them roughly twice a week, using the same kind of rep and set scheme that you would use for something like your quads or your squats or your shoulder press. Like, do 3 or 4 sets of somewhere between anywhere from like 8 to 15 reps is a good place to start. Have a proper rest period. For some reason, when it comes to abs, everybody wants to like do them in circuit base. They want to have really short rest periods. They want to do like 10 different ab exercises in one workout and devote one single day. But you wouldn't devote one single day to just your biceps, or you wouldn't devote one single day even to just your hamstrings, right? Like, you would work your hamstrings, quads, glutes, your full lower body at once. And same thing with your core. Like, there's no reason to hammer abs and do, 20 different ab sets or exercises in one day with short rest periods, circuit base. Like, that's not how you build your ab muscles and ab definition. You build your ab muscles and your ab definition the same way you do your leg definition or your quad definition or your glute definition or your arm definition. You work the muscle group with, sets, rest period in between, sets, rest period in between, and progressive overload, adding more weight and reps over time, not doing 100 sit-ups in a row. You want to do anywhere from, probably 6 to 15 reps at any given point, depending on, what exercise you're doing, and progressing on it the same way you would progress on every other exercise. Like I said, I don't know where the whole ab thing came from. I think maybe it's just like when people are doing tons of different ab exercises, they feel the burn and they think, oh, like I'm getting abs now. But abs should be treated like every other muscle group, where you want to build it by doing all those things I just mentioned. And then the way to reveal the abs is to lose body fat overall, which is the same way you reveal muscle definition in your legs, in your glutes, in your hamstrings, in your biceps, in your shoulders, in your back. You lose body fat. That's how the muscle definition really starts to come through. But you have to build the muscle underneath first by doing it the proper way. So just wanted to add that little bit at the end there. But hopefully this was helpful to kind of lay out, how to go about structuring your workouts. Like I said, first and foremost, pick however many days you can really consistently stick to. Divide the muscle groups in twice per week, 10 to 16 sets per muscle group, hitting each muscle group every 3 to 4 days. And if you do that in the 8 to 15, even you can kind of extend that out into 6 to 20 rep range. If you do that, focus on progressive overload, increasing weight and reps slowly over time, you're going to be set. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know. If you did find it helpful. And just a reminder, don't forget about this big special opportunity, that I just brought up that's going to be launching in the next week or two, where if all this stuff sounds really confusing when it comes to putting workouts together, that is going to be taken care of you with this new opportunity, since you will have access to updated workouts every single month too. So I think that's it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one.